Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Cynthia Sassi with me here today. Cynthia has been in the digital marketing and online publishing industry since 2007 and is an expert in launching and scaling a brand with little to no money and growing team and leadership. Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So before we sort of started the show, you were talking a little bit about fabulous Arizona. We'll get to that later. Why don't you tell me, give us a quick snapshot of your business right now?
Yeah, currently I have 3 different businesses, all within the digital space.
Nice.
One being Fabulous Media Group, which is a collection of localized online magazines. So those are kind of lifestyle focused for people looking for places to eat, places to vacation, things to do, that sort of thing. And then for the other business, Say Less Media, that is a digital marketing agency. And so we help different businesses with their email marketing, social media, all of those types of digital marketing type of things. And then we also have Lux Getaways, which is another online magazine, but this one is focused on international luxury travel.
Okay. How'd those come about? Is this supporting your habit of travel or what?
It kind of came out of a love for showcasing and kind of talking about local businesses is where the Fabulous Media Group came from. And so my background in 2007 was I took an internship with a company that was like a women's online magazine at the time. And back in 2007, this whole digital stuff was pretty new. Social media wasn't even a thing yet. And I just fell in love with the data and analytics of doing things online as opposed to print or TV or radio, where it's a little harder to really know what readers are resonating with and that sort of thing. Whereas online, you can see how many people read an article or what they clicked on. And so that was really fascinating to me from a consumer behavior standpoint. And so I just really fell in love with online marketing and online publishing. And so from there, I started working with a local magazine in 2008, and then just really then kind of got to see it from a different perspective of working with smaller local businesses. And I loved how with the local businesses, they have a very personal story. There's something, usually the business owner is very passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's a restaurant or a gym or whatever it is. And as opposed to the national magazine I had been working with prior, where you're working with just large corporations and there's just not as much heart behind it. So I was like, I love a lot of what we were doing with the digital publishing platform on the national level. But I was like, how can I apply that passion with helping local business owners? And so that's kind of how Fabulous Arizona was born, was, let's use all this publishing knowledge and digital knowledge, but also using it to showcase these local stories.
Okay. And so I guess once you get bit by the entrepreneurial bug, you had to start up some other companies as well. And do they complement
obviously,
and interact?
Yeah, they really do. And that's kind of how they occurred, is because they all kind of were feeding off of each other in a way. So obviously I launched Fabulous Arizona in 2010. So again, we're talking really early on in like the digital marketing space. It was, I feel like even just within the last 5 to 7 years, a lot of businesses were just now starting to get online and doing Instagram and all of that stuff. So back then it was really new, and I would meet with these, local business owners to showcase them on Fabulous Arizona. And we would end up talking about maybe they don't have a website, or maybe they haven't started social media. And so then it was, hey, can you help me with my website? Or can you help me with my social media? Since I was obviously had a website and I had social media for my business. And so that's kind of how
yes, let me introduce you, and take off that hat and put on the other hat. Yes. And
Yeah. So that's kind of, it started as, I'm helping a few people here and there. And then it kind of grew into its own thing. So then that's how that was born. And then just had an opportunity arise with the Lux Getaways magazine. Obviously that publication has actually been around since 2013. And then obviously when COVID hit, the owner of that magazine kind of had to take a step back because there was no travel happening.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that really kind of that magazine sat dormant for a little bit. And so we were able to come in and say, you know what, I think I can apply all of the processes and methods that I've used to grow Fabulous Media Group and apply that to Lux Getaways and give it a revival and bring it back, because it had, a decade of great content, and I would love to travel more, of course. So it kind of was like, you know what, let's see what we can do with this publication. So so it kind of, is a lot of the same processes and principles that we're using for Fabulous Media Group, but just a different type of content and audience.
Okay, plays to your established skill sets and expertise. So that seems like a good fit. So I'm guessing this was 2021, 22. You're starting to reboot that or launch the digital aspect for Lux.
We basically reboot it. So like I said, it was just kind of, it was there, but it was just kind of sitting dormant because travel, international travel wasn't happening. I mean, even for, into 2022, I feel like people were still, coming back from that. So
some things were opening up, and
yeah. But as far as international travel, it was still a bit restricted and a little difficult to really get, out there and do that. So it was a good time to kind of bring it back, and it was nice that it already had, a base. Whereas with Fabulous Media Group, I was starting from the ground up. So it was kind of a different process in the sense that, hey, we've already got this established, brand and established readership, and able to kind of just give it a revival.
Okay. Excellent. So, going back to the social media services, what are sort of the typical clients you have that are reaching out or that you're providing services to, and what are their needs right now in this day and age?
Currently, over the years, we've done a lot of different businesses. All of them, every industry is a little different. Every business is going to be different. So currently, our focus has been mostly restaurants, but we have done B2B. We've done all kinds of different industries in the past, and we kind of found that restaurants were kind of our sweet spot. You get to be really creative and fun with it. And obviously marketing on social media to consumers is a lot more fun and easier as well than marketing to other businesses. So, so we found that great. The thing with social media though, is it's just constantly changing, as we all know.
Okay.
And, what was working even just 6 months ago on Instagram, for example, is maybe not working anymore. And so it's something where you're always, on your toes and having to, evaluate analytics, evaluate trends, where do we need to go next? And so, we're always tweaking things almost month to month, if or maybe quarter to quarter even. But it's a very fast moving industry. But of course, everyone is kind of in the same boat of everyone's on social media and everyone's posting a lot, and there's a lot of noise. And so it's how do you set yourself apart, and how do you break through that noise and get noticed? And so it's become a very interesting and somewhat challenging time for social media.
Sure. Oh, for sure. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I heard that there's so much AI generated content that's going to continue to grow and stuff. What are the challenges you foresee in that regard?
I look at AI at this point. I mean, obviously there's a lot of junk out there that is happening, but I think because we work on a local level, it's not necessarily affecting us on the local level. I know that there's a lot of just, as far as creating videos and photos and stuff that are maybe not actual real photos and that sort of thing is going very viral and kind of taking over.
And videos.
But yes, and impersonating, celebrities and that sort of thing, which is a little scary. But on the local level, it doesn't seem to be negatively impacting necessarily, but I do think there's a lot of positive ways that it can be used to just make things more efficient. There's, so many things that we can do with just even for example, if we have a photo of a dish, there's an AI functionality that can animate that dish, and, it can kind of grasp, okay, what would it look like if we were to move, angle around this dish, and it can, AI can grasp that from the photo. And it's if we went and, oh gosh, we went and did the shoot and we didn't capture this one piece of video that we needed, there's a good chance AI will be able to help us replicate that
Right.
to fix it rather than us having to go back out and shoot it.
And
So there's
put it
little
on a
things like that
romantic
can make it more
candlelit
efficient.
white tablecloth dinner or
Yes.
table, and yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that it's been, I think embracing AI and how it can make you more efficient and better, I think is something that, our team at least is trying to do.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. And I take it you enjoy that side of it. That's what you seem
Yeah.
to get energized talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I love anything that's new. I love, analyzing new things, testing and trying things out and playing with new things. I anything that can make our jobs easier or make us better at something or more efficient at something. Everyone on my team, whether they're a photographer, a videographer, a copywriter, I mean, obviously these are jobs that people are fearing are going to be replaced. And, we've all talked about, instead of thinking about how it can replace you, think about how it can help you and make you better at your job. And so I think that there's a lot of positivity that can come from it.
Sure. Sure. I like your point on local, smaller market stuff that might not be as impacted because I mean, just the rate at which content is being generated is keeps ramping up, right? And it's just,
Hmm.
as you said earlier, it's just all these people shouting out into the void, right? And how do you stand out and have to be creative? And it's not just about generating content, but something a little more authentic and meaningful. It seems to be the name of the game.
Yeah, we're big proponents of quality over quantity. So I, really would preach for someone to do less content but higher quality, especially because it is so noisy. So you don't want to just be cranking out a ton of content that's just, getting buried with everything else, as opposed to maybe creating less content that's more impactful and is
Sure.
actually going to break through the noise.
But the concern is what's at odds is I've heard things on different platforms that different algorithms reward you for posting consistently and frequently and things like that. Is that changing?
I mean, Instagram's kind of our bread and butter.
Okay.
Facebook, I feel like unless you're spending money, you're as a business, you're not really going to get anything on Facebook unless you're doing like a Facebook group or something. So
Right.
I feel like Facebook is a little irrelevant as far as organic reach. But for Instagram in particular, that's definitely not the case. If you post too much, you're actually then only competing with yourself to get,
Hmm.
views. So I definitely think that there is a point where you can be posting too much to where it's going to negatively impact you. And I actually just had this conversation this week. So we've actually
Okay.
have seen that firsthand. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Um,
Yeah. Because Instagram's really looking for what's they're rewarding engagement. So likes and comments and are not as relevant anymore, and they're really looking for shares and saves. So if you're cranking out just a ton of content that no one's interested in and they're not saving it or sharing it, that's
right.
telling Instagram that this content's not interesting to people. We're not going to show it to people. So
Okay.
that's why I'm a big fan of doing higher quality content, because if
Yep.
it's really shareable or people are saving it, that's going to tell Instagram that you're posting stuff that matters, and they're going to show
Right.
more of your content to people.
Right. Right. That's just my take on it, but I don't know if the robot overlords agree with me all the time. Um, so in terms of restaurants, the demographics, right? It depends on the restaurant you're targeting. I mean, I'm not that active on Instagram. I don't get inspired to go to a local restaurant because I saw something on Instagram. I might see something tasty that makes me hungry. But in terms of getting a local restaurant ad, depends, I imagine, on the demographic you're targeting. Do some of the restaurants do Facebook ads?
Yes, yeah, and
Okay.
there's definitely a space for that. That's why I'm saying if you're going to do ads
Hmm.
on Facebook, that's where you're going to get your reach organically. No one's seeing content on Facebook. I mean, it's very rare. We might get 50 views or something on something, whereas we'll get
Right.
thousands on Instagram.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how many followers you have; they're just not pushing business pages and the feeds anymore. And obviously, there's just so much competition in the ads that they have to show all these ads now. So, would you say that Facebook is kind of your place where you would go to? Because you said Instagram's not where you would find a restaurant. So, where would you find a restaurant? I guess.
I would probably I go by on my phone, local Google demographics, Google ads and stuff, and what pops up,
Yeah.
and I can sort that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. And that's a great place too. That's something we also preach is really optimizing your Google listings,
Right.
making sure,
Google
you're
Maps,
encouraging
Apple
people
Maps,
to,
whatever.
yeah, making sure that you're putting up, most recent photos, like having an appetizing looking food and the interior and exterior. Like a lot of people don't even add, photos to their pages, and that stuff
Right.
really can help drive people because like if you're just looking on maps what's near you, it's that's what's going
Right.
to come up, that listing, and you want to see what do they serve there. So that's great. We, interesting enough, and this goes for kind of TikTok too, is as far as people posting, it might skew younger, but the people viewing content on Instagram and TikTok does go, much older. Like they you may not see them posting or being quite as active, but they're definitely consuming.
Okay. So would you say what's sort of the upper end cap on average? I mean, are there 50 and 60-year-olds on Instagram
Oh
but
yeah.
not TikTok? Are there 80-year-olds
I
on
mean,
TikTok? I don't know.
I think probably not, yeah, 50, 60 on Instagram, I think so. Maybe not so much TikTok. But I do know that like the moms are on TikTok. So,
Hmm.
30, 40s, like they're on TikTok more than they might not be producing TikToks, but they're consuming them kind of like it's like entertainment. And so I feel like people think TikTok's just, oh, the kids, but there's, a lot of moms in their 30s and 40s on TikTok. So if that's your demographic, that's a good place to be. But there's, we're definitely seeing 50s and 60s and up on Instagram for sure.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Now
Mhm.
let's switching back to Fabulous. You have those in different markets, and can you talk to us a little bit about that and the service that provides?
Yeah, so Fabulous Arizona started in 2010, and then I always knew that I wanted it to be something bigger. I didn't know what exactly that looked like, and I kind of sat on it for a long time. And then finally in 2018, after going back to Wisconsin quite a few summers in a row, I was like, you know what? I should launch Fabulous Wisconsin and just see if it will work
Okay.
there. Like, does Fabulous Arizona work just because I know Arizona so well, or is this concept something that can potentially work in other states and other markets? So I went up one summer in 2018, and then I launched Fabulous Wisconsin. And literally within the first week of me being there, there were writers reaching out wanting to contribute for us. There were businesses reaching out to be featured, and I was like, wow, okay, this is something that
Yeah.
is a need here, and people are interested. So it was really exciting to see that the concept itself was something that worked in other places, and it wasn't just because it was Arizona. So from there we're now in 6 different markets. So we've got Iowa, which was again, because I'm from Wisconsin, the Midwest states. We had a few contributors reach out that wanted us to launch Iowa, so we launched Iowa. We did California and Nevada. So obviously Nevada, California, and Arizona kind of play off of each other. And then we did Washington as well because we had some businesses and writers interested there. We were going to do Oregon right after that. And Oregon got hit pretty hard economically from COVID. So we kind of put a pause on Oregon for now. But eventually we'll have, up the whole coast there. And obviously Washington and Oregon will play off of each other really well.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Okay, interesting. What are the challenges in let's stick with that one for now, the Fabulous
Mhm.
entity or endeavor. Well, what are the challenges with running that? And I imagine you have different, are those quarterly publications or launches? The website, it's both. Is it how much of it's digital and what are uh, the the actionables for you throughout the year?
Yeah, so since I have a completely digital background, these are 100% digital. So
Okay.
so we have the websites themselves, which we produce content on. We have a lot of like weekly promotions or like pieces of content that go up, and we have weekly newsletters that go out. So we have like a fabulous people section where we feature different fabulous people. So people that are doing incredible things in their community, whether that be business wise or charity or whatever it is. And so we'll feature them once a week. We do like a featured restaurant each week. stuff like that. And then we also have other, seasonal type of content. So, for example, with 4th of July having just passed, we had, for all the different states, we had a list of, different 4th of July events going on in that state.
Nice.
So it's with the beauty of digital is that we don't have like a monthly publication or quarterly publication that has like some kind of deadline that we have to, meet. And if something doesn't get in there in time, then it doesn't get to run. It's like we can post something at any time, which is great.
Well, it's not just there's less overhead, but you can really respond to changes in events and things quicker.
Yeah. And sometimes, somebody will be like, oh gosh, this changed since this published. Can we update that? And we're able to do that on the fly, which is wonderful about digital. I would say one of the challenges with the different markets is, maybe you don't realize it at the time, but as you get more into it, you're like, oh, these markets are very different. Things that, we might be interested in, in Arizona are not things that people are interested in Wisconsin or Iowa. So it's been great because we've got people with what I call boots on the ground in each state that can really kind of help us with like the pulse of what's going on there, what people are looking for and wanting to do, so that we can tailor our content for each state. Obviously, we have kind of the seasonal stuff is kind of across the board where, we're going to do 4th of July events on all the states. But for example, in the Midwest, we have some of our most popular articles for Iowa and Wisconsin are best farm hotels, like hotels that are like, boutique hotels on farms, like, and it's like, what a cool thing, but not something you would think of in Arizona.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I think corn when I'm there. When I lived in Madison, not just because Iowa, but they had the Sun Prairie Corn Festival outside of Madison.
Yes.
That should be coming up in a little bit here.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of cool stuff. You have a lot of great things going on. Sort of creating some, I don't know, it's some good impact in different markets with different people, and I like the smaller town stuff too, which is for me seems a little more of a legacy play, right? You're making impact with people's lives directly. What have you done in the last 12 months that's changed your life or the way you look at things?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Well, I feel like I'm constantly kind of reevaluating things, but I did just do my first like big trip since I've been a business owner. So in the last decade, I haven't done like a real vacation. And so I took 3 weeks off, which is insane because I usually have a hard time taking a day off, and took 3 weeks off and did a Europe trip. And that was pretty life-changing for me because one, it taught me that I'm capable of doing that. And
you mean
two,
keep the businesses functional?
Yes, that things are not going to fall apart. Everything's okay. And and I think
it's a good test of your systems.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in our minds as business owners, we think everything's going to just fall apart without us. But hopefully, like you said, if you put good systems and processes and people in place, things will be just fine. And, I have built a great team over the last 5 years, and it was really an amazing feeling to watch them just handle everything for that 3 weeks and with no major issues. And it was a pretty exciting thing to see. And now, I came back and was like, all right, how do we build upon that? And how can learning that change how we move forward? And, what more can I do to create more of that freedom and just, a better well-oiled machine and delegating more to these people that clearly can handle it.
Right. Excellent. Well, kudos to you for that and putting together systems and people, right, in the right seats.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, I do know when I first, before I started hiring people, everything was very by the seat of your pants. And I know as solo entrepreneurs, a lot of times we feel like, oh gosh, the time that'll take for us to put this stuff into spreadsheets or documents or, forms is going to be very time consuming. So we avoid it for so long. But once I started hiring people, I was like, all this information in my head has to come out and go somewhere so that these other people can see it and have access to it. And so it's one of those things where that if I were to tell somebody something they should do, that I didn't, it's that. Like, I wish I would have done that much sooner. I think not only would it have been, easier when I hired people, but I also think I probably would have been more efficient having those things already in place for myself even.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good tip. Thanks for sharing that. So where'd you go on your trip?
We did actually a cruise. So started in Barcelona and spent a few days there and then gone on the cruise and then did some of Spain. And then we skipped over France and went to Italy and finished in Rome. So,
Nice.
so it was a great, wonderful trip hitting some of those bucket list, locations. But it was, yeah, it was a nice thing. And I intentionally did not get the data plan on my phone just so that I'd be forced to like unplug a little more for when I wasn't on the ship. I wasn't able to be on my phone checking emails. So, so it was good.
Yeah, extra challenge for you having left your businesses behind. I just did another. We try to get out. And hopefully, you'll do a lot more of them now that you're doing Lux and you've tested the systems and stuff. I didn't bring my laptop this time. It was about 3 weeks. We were hiking around the UK and stuff, and the phone does not make up. There's some things I just couldn't do the same.
You can't do on your phone, yeah.
But it was good because I got some good partners and other stuff. So it was. But
that's a real test because I still had my laptop just in case something needed to be done. And I've even done weekend trips where I'm like, I shouldn't take my laptop, but I'm going to just in case. So, so kudos to you. That is very brave.
Thank you. Yeah, I was flip flopping a few times, and eventually, enough people told me, "Don't do it, dude." Yeah. But that's a lesson too. Is hiring and delegating and setting up systems and teams that can really thrive and grow and you can work on the business and not in the business, right?
Right.
All right. So, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives coming up in the next 12 months?
Just continuing to, like I said, scale and grow and build on what we've got. And so, I think we've got a really good foundation here that I want to continue to build upon.
Okay. You're not going to launch in any new markets?
We are contemplating. We're trying to decide where we want to go next. So we might do that Q1 next year. We're trying to decide. It might be Colorado or Texas is kind of the two main states we're looking at right now.
Okay. Yeah. Good markets. And how about travel for the Lux arm?
I don't have anything scheduled right now. I feel like I'm still catching up a little bit from the last trip. So it might be a little more local, like North America, Canada, Mexico, somewhere around there, maybe somewhere in the US, but probably going to hold off for the rest of this year, at least, on anything too major.
But don't wait too long.
Right.
All right. So I have a reflection question I like to ask people as we wrap things up. What do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
I mean, I think like I mentioned is one of the big things is I wish I would have put processes and systems in place earlier. I think not even just for, building a team or taking time off. I do think that systems and processes also help you be more efficient and therefore can make more money and be more successful. So, I feel like all of that kind of goes hand in hand. It's kind of the whole, if you, fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I feel like that stuff's so important to put in place. And like I said, it's when you get kind of caught up in the day to day, when you're starting out, it's easy to just be treading water and keeping your head above water and not taking that time to work on the business because you're so busy in the business. But I think really, allocating that time to set up those things that maybe aren't necessities to survive that day, they will pay off in the long run.
Yeah, it's a very good answer. I think it forces you to get clear on what's important and what your strengths are and what are not and all that sort of stuff to really map out the future better and more regularly. So that's awesome. Yeah. And it provides, if you do have the right systems, it can start to provide a lot more data and give you some good KPIs and tracking for where you're going and how things are working. All right, Cynthia. Yeah. So if people like to learn more and connect with you, what can they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, well, my personal Instagram is just Cynthia Sassi. So that one's easy. And then fabulousarizona.com is the local website for our Phoenix listeners.
Okay. That's Cynthia Sassi with an I.
With an I, not a Y. Yes.
But she's extra sassy. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Cynthia Sassi, for joining me today. We very much appreciate you sharing your story and your insights into digital marketing and branding and travel and being a young entrepreneur and wearing all those hats. That's good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.